Welcome in, everybody. Hello. We're going to get started for today. Let me send out my shares really quickly, but we're going to be continuing our conversation about PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, and understanding the hidden truth and the hidden link between diabetes and hormone imbalances and insulin resistance, blood sugar spikes, and getting to the root cause of the fact that we're not dealing with the issue effectively, and that's the reason why we're suffering so bad. And so as women, we aren't taught how to use our reproductive health, or rather we're not taught how to support our reproductive health in a space of being healthy, but rather in a space of just functioning and making it day by day. And that's not how we should be operating as a woman, right? And so if you are here or if you know any women that are suffering, or if you are here that are suffering, you need to, first of all, share out this live and listen closely, because we're going to be talking about throughout this life-changing information that a lot of people are not aware of and a lot of people don't know, and then getting to a solution of how we start healing and start supporting our body the way that we should be. So, if you are having or struggling with irregular periods, regular cycles, if you're dealing with issues of painful menstrual cycles, if you're dealing with infertility, if you are suffering with stubborn weight gain or weight loss, weight fluctuation, bloating, chronic fatigue, if you're dealing with any of those issues, these are all your signs to let you know that your health is not where it needs to be, and then also to let you know that you're not alone, okay? You are not alone in this space, because you have to realize that there are millions of women that are dealing with the same issue of having painful, irregular cycles, having issues during and before and after their cycle, having PMS symptoms. They're struggling, taking prescriptions, going back and forth to the doctor for this issue, having surgeries, having hysterectomies. And we're not getting to the root cause of the issue, but rather we're sitting here using momentary band-aids. And we don't have to continue to use momentary band-aids if we learn how to heal. So I'm here to support you in understanding how to heal. Let me move the microphone out of the background, right? Okay. So I can guarantee you by the end of this live, if you stay for this full live, I can guarantee you today that you are going to know exactly what you need to be able to do to start healing and supporting your body in that healing. I did not fluff this side out as much as I fluffed the other one. So how do we start healing? Oh, you're wondering, how do we start healing? You're going to find that out at the end. First, we have to uncover and unpack the fact that PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis, you having all these different issues with your reproductive health overall as a woman is not a random condition. It's not something that runs in your family. It's not something that you inherit, but rather it's something that you do over time to your body that causes a dysfunction and dysregulation. Now, you might not be aware of what you've done in the past, but you have to understand that you are causing the issue with the actions that you have, whether it's the foods that you eat, the products that you use. And so we have to get to the root cause of what is causing this issue, what is causing this blockage in your healing. There we go. I want to get that little piece separated, y'all. My little curls, okay? So understand that there are different directions, or there are different results from the backlash of you having insulin resistance, or you're over inflamed, or having hormonal imbalances. There are different signs that your body shows you, so you have to recognize those and realize what those signs are. In society, we are taught to sit here and use prescriptions, manage it with some type of medication, or do a surgery, or we're taught to ignore these things because it's normal, because that's the norm. It's normal to be fatigued. It's normal for you to use coffee for energy. It's normal for you to not know how to balance your blood sugar daily when you eat. And so we are taught by Western medicine, mainstream medicine, to sit here and use Band-Aid solutions for our management, for the pain that we're dealing with the uncomfortability for the issue. And so we're not sitting here dealing with the root cause of the issue. So we use birth control, we use painkillers, we use hormone treatments, we use surgeries. This is not going to help you, first of all, fix the issue, let alone help you in the long run. You're going to be spending more money, you're going to be spending more time. And so you really have to get your brain wrapped around the fact that you're not being supported in the space that you are believing in. You're believing in this facade of, I can do this momentarily and I'll be okay. I can do this surgery and I'll be okay. I can sit here and take birth control and somehow my fibroid and cysts will dissolve and I'll be okay. That's not how that works. You're using chemicals to try to manage and deal with the issue that you've caused with a bunch of toxic ingredients, chemicals, etc., etc. How you start to learn to help your body heal is to realize what imbalances are going on and tackle that. Thank you for the follows and the likes, guys. I see you. I really appreciate it. It's not normal for you to be sitting here every single month suffering. It's not normal for you to not know how to take care of your body. It's not normal for you to be breaking down from the inside out, because literally your reproductive health is a sign to let you know how healthy you are every single month. It is literally your checkup for yourself every single month. So when you look back and you look at your cycle for the month and you're sitting here like, okay, I just had it. I was drained. I was tired. It was painful. That should be a sign to let you know you have an overloaded inflammation, right? And so when you sit here and you suffer through that menstrual cycle for that week or however long, because we had somebody in here that came in here on Wednesday, I want to say, and was talking about that they were on their cycle literally for an entire year. Like this month marks a year for them. That blows my mind, and their doctor is telling them that that's normal, it's okay. You should not be operating outside of a 3 to 4, 5-day maximum cycle. 5-day maximum. 5 days is still on the borderline of hemorrhaging. Anything past 4 or 5 days, you're hemorrhaging. Blood clots, you're hemorrhaging. And women are not realizing this. Thank you for liking up the live. I really appreciate it. And so when you come to the realization that we are not taught how to protect our body, to heal our body, to support our reproductive health, but instead we're sitting here and being told and fed lies, which are going to lead us down a path of being completely unhealthy, completely imbalanced, and leading us down a path of having hormonal issues like we currently are suffering from right now. And if you're not suffering from these and you're not taking care of it, you're going to have it eventually. It's time for you to learn how to take control of your health and to stop depending and relying on a system that is poisoning you. It's time for you to sit back and realize that starting your cycle at the early age of 8, 9, 10 is not normal. It's not normal for people to be sitting here, young girls to be sitting here starting their cycle at the age of 5, because I have witnessed it, I have seen it. Girls are starting their cycles earlier and earlier, and it's not normal. I worked with kids for 5 years, a little over 5 years, and that's in the professional setting. That's not even including the unprofessional working with family, etc., okay? In a professional setting. I literally had a child that was in my group I worked with at the time. The age range was between 5 and 8. That was the age range that I worked with. Okay, I flopped. I had a child that was 5 years old come to me and be like, hey, I started my menstrual cycle. I'm not believing her. I'm like, okay, you and your mom probably had a talk. You probably learned what it was. She's like, no, describing the symptoms, describing what happened when she went to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, at 5 years old, she started her menstrual cycle. It wasn't a scare. It wasn't a hey. It was a pre-situation where she started. I worked there many months after that. I think at least a year after that. I can tell you she had actually started her menstrual cycle. Her mom had already seen the signs. Her mom and her had talked about it. She knew that she was going to start at the ripe age of 5 years old. So thinking about how long your cycle goes for your lifetime until you hit menopause, think about having from 5 all the way until 50, 55, that you finally start going through menopause. Having a menstrual cycle for about 50 years is insane. It's really insane. Start learning how to support your health so that if you have children or if you are thinking about having children, you bring them up in a space of knowing how to take care of their body and being healthy, and not being in this next generation and the previous generations of not knowing how to take care of their body, as well as the fact that we sit here and think that these things are normal. It's not healthy and it's not normal. We sit here and we're like, oh, you become a woman, congratulations. But why is it something that we sit here and say, thank you for the gifts, I really appreciate it. Why do we sit here and say that, oh, you become a woman, congratulations? Yet we don't know how to take care of our body, and we don't know how to pass on the information and the knowledge a woman should have about their body to the person that we're now calling a little young woman. Because we aren't aware ourselves. We're sitting here at our right big old age of 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, and yet we still don't even know how to take care of our own body as a woman. Thank you for the follows and the likes and the gifts. I really appreciate it. So we have to realize that we are in a silent epidemic right now, and we're not being taught this. We're not being told this. It's not public knowledge that we're in an epidemic, because women are really diminished when it comes to us being represented in the medical society. There are way too many women that are affected with PCOS, endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, and we're not really sitting down and looking at the numbers, but rather we sit here and hear it, and we're like, oh yeah, my aunt has it, I have it, my mom, my grandma, whoever, and we just like, oh, kiki, cackle about it, talk about the symptoms, and move on. We're not realizing that literally when you go outside and you count 10 women, out of all of those 10 women, at least one of them that are in reproductive age have PCOS. When you count millions of women, because when endometriosis is affecting at least 190 million women around the world. And so when you look at that, that's about 10% of women that are in reproductive age. That's not even including the women that are in menopause but are still dealing with endometriosis symptoms. Because you have to realize that even though they say when you hit menopause age, you won't have all of the cysts and the fibroids and endometriosis, you won't have it as much, it won't affect you as much, because they say that your hormones are balancing, or you won't have as high estrogen, etc., what they say in the medical industry, because like I say, you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? They say that it gets better. That's kind of what they put in your brain, that when you hit menopause age, it gets better. But you're not realizing that you have been dealing with these same issues all of your life. Just because you hit menopause and your hormones start to change, semi-level themselves out in a kind of way, does not mean that you're going to stop dealing with these same symptoms that you had just because you no longer have a menstrual cycle. Just because you are not menstruating does not mean your body is still not going through that 30-day cycle like normal. Men go through a 24-hour cycle. Women forever go through a 30-day, 31-day cycle. And we're not putting that to our brain, that they put us in the same category as a man, and we are not men. We are not to operate like men. We're not supposed to eat like men. We're not supposed to sit here and think that we can do any and everything all day, every single day. There are times where we're supposed to rest in the month. There are times we have the most energy. There are times we're supposed to weight lift. There's times we're supposed to do the most cardio. There's times we're supposed to just stretch and relax. And yet we are taught and put in the same category to do, be a do girl, do for everybody. And then we wonder why we're exhausted. We wonder why we have endometriosis. We wonder why we have fibroids. It's okay for you to realize that you have been misled. But now is the time for us to realize that we have to get away from what we've been misled to. So when you look at the fact that about 20 to 25% of women that are in childbearing age are dealing with fibroids as well, and it's rising, which is insane. It's rising by the age of 50. About 70 to 80% of women by the age of 50 develop fibroids. About 70 to 80. So that's literally majority of women, by the time that they hit 50, they're going to have to be dealing with fibroids. And so that's not even including the women that hit 50 and they get diagnosed with fibroids. We know what the class action for the people of color, for the people of color, the brown skinned women in here that have gotten relaxers in their lifetime, we know that there is a class action lawsuit against all of those chemical relaxers because they cause fibroid cysts. It literally leaks and disrupts your hormone balance. So why do we not sit here and think about the fact that other things can also disrupt our hormones outside of what we use on our hair? Why do we not think about foods? Why do we not think about cleaning products? We don't put it all in a full spectrum, but rather we hear knowledge and we just go, oh, okay, that's one thing, and then that's it. We don't have any discerning thoughts to really connect the dots like we need to be doing as a society right now when we are in a number 9 year. Spiritually, if you do not know what number 9 is, like number 9 spiritually, number 9 means judgment. We are in a number 9 year. We have been struggling, and we're going to continue to struggle as a society when it comes to our health because we are not reading between the lines enough. We're just doing to make it by every single day. And how you know that we're doing to make it by every single day? Why are women still sitting here dealing with fibroids if we know that about 70 to 80% by the age of 50 are going to develop it? Why is it not a thing for us to actively be seeking how to heal, how to stop this, how to teach the next generation to not suffer from the same thing? Because we're in this mentality of this programming that this is what we have to go through as a woman. We have to struggle. We have to be the strongest one. It makes no sense. Thank you for the follows and the shares, guys, and the likes. It's not a coincidence that we're all sitting here suffering from the same thing, or not all, because I'm not suffering from this, but it's not a coincidence that millions of women are suffering from the same thing. I was once one of those people who could identify with the fact that I had plenty of signs that I had endo. Plenty of signs. As a young child, as soon as I started, had signs. Before I started, had signs. And so when you look at the fact that cysts themselves affects about 10 to 30% of women, and we talk about cysts and fibroids often, and yet, like I said, we see here, we talk about the symptoms and we move on about our day, and we don't think about the fact that there are literally 190 million other women dealing with some type of issue, millions of other women dealing with some type of the same issue. It's because we are hormonally imbalanced. And so we have to look at also not only the fact that, okay, you have this cyst, you have this fibroid, you have PCOS, you have endo, but look at the fact that it's connected to more than just it's affecting my reproductive system. Do you understand that when you have these symptoms, these issues, it's an inflammatory issue? Do you know what also is affected when you have an overload of inflammation? Your blood sugar and your insulin. What is affecting the most in the people of color community? Insulin resistance. What is affecting us the most in the color community? Diabetes. We're not making the full connections and letting the wheels turn, because we're sitting here in a society that is full fed, which I love my TV, don't get me wrong, but we're so stuck in getting quick information and not using any of it. We're so stuck on, let me scroll through TikTok and learn all of this stuff and don't do anything about it. Why are you gaining all of this knowledge and not using it, applying it to any part of your life, let alone spreading the knowledge to get people to realize that we are not being taken care of? I ask people all the time when they come in here and they're talking about, oh, I do this, I eat this way. I'm like, do you know how to read your labels? And they're like, yeah, I know how to read my labels. And I'm like, okay, do you know what citric acid is? Do you know what titanium dioxide is? Do you know what a filler is? Do you know what additive is? And if they do say, yes, I know this, what are you doing with it? With the knowledge that you have, what are you doing? Are you sharing this with your kids? Are you sharing it with your family? Are you teaching other people how to do this as well? We are moving to a space that online education, digital education is really taking over. We're getting all of this knowledge and we're not using it. We're getting all of this information and we're not really absorbing it on a subconscious and conscious level. We're just taking it and running with it and being like, oh, okay, I know this. Let me spit it out later on sometime if you even share it. Why sit here knowing that you're suffering, millions of women are suffering, and there's a solution, and you're just going to sit here and keep doing the same thing, not getting to the root cause of the problem? It makes no sense when we have endless information to learn from. You're suffering from something, just like how you're like waking up in the middle of the night. I know I'm not the only one that does this. You have a random thought in the middle of the night. Oh my God, let me hurry up and Google this really quickly. You hurry up and Google it, you get the answer. You might see an article, you're like, I don't know, you scroll, right? Why in the world do you get a quick little answer at the top of Google when you're looking for something, and either it's what you want to hear or it's not, and then you close the app? Why don't you scroll? Why don't you, just like you scroll through TikTok, look at some information, click on some articles, see how they all pan together? Because I had somebody arguing with me about the fact that sugar itself does not affect or cause diabetes. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense how you would say that. Because yes, they can't necessarily link it directly when it comes to the medical industry, because they can't legally say, oh, it's going to cause you to have this, because they can't directly say that. But what they can say is the fact, and they have said many, many times, when you have an overload of sugar inside of your body, it causes inflammation. Inflammation feeds diseases, right? So when you're sitting here dealing with the fact that your blood sugar has been spiked, you're struggling with the overload of inflammation, because inflammation causes you to have a bunch of overload of fat pockets, fat cells, etc., right? You're going to lead yourself into having diabetes. So explain to me how the sugar is not the cause of you having diabetes. And so when people love to argue and come in here and sit here and spit their little itty bitty amount of, this is my personal opinion, I've got this one little fact, but I don't have any other facts to back it up. I just have this one fact of the fact that, yes, I know what diabetes is. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know what's going on, but I know what diabetes is. I know that it can come from you being overweight. I know it comes from being overweight. But you don't know how sugar itself, processed sugar, affects it. You don't understand what insulin's supposed to be doing in your body. You don't understand what insulin that they give you at the store, at the doctor's office, when the prescription is prescribed to you. You don't know what that insulin is made from. And yet you want to come and you want to argue with me about what causes diabetes. You don't even know how to treat it. You don't know how to heal it. You don't even know what you're putting in your body. People are not even understanding or knowing what insulin resistance actually is. Do we know what insulin resistance is? Because it's when your body stops responding to insulin. Insulin is naturally produced in your body, not the fake insulin that they give you when you're prescribed insulin because you're a diabetic now. Your body naturally produces its own insulin from food, or it should be producing natural insulin from food, correct? When you're having insulin resistance, now the sugar is staying inside of your bloodstream because it's not being converted. And so since it can't be converted into energy like it should be, it's leading you to have blood sugar imbalances. It's leading you to have weight gain because it's going to be stuck around, especially in your midsection, but it's going to be stuck inside of those fat pockets because it has nowhere to go. You're supposed to be fueling your body, but instead you're fueling inflammation, which is causing a number of different issues. So you're going to have chronic inflammation. You're going to have joint pain. You're going to have arthritis. You're also disrupting your hormones, which in return, what is going to happen? PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis. It's a full circle cycle. Either you're going to have insulin resistance first, or you could have fibroids first, or you could have cysts first. You could have an overloaded inflammation and then develop all of it. The point is, it's a literal endless cycle. What point you start at, you're still going to be on the wheel until you stop going around that wheel and take yourself out of the middle of that and be like, you know what? I realized that my insulin resistance is caused from overloaded inflammation. I realized that I eat a whole bunch of inflammatory foods because I eat a whole bunch of processed foods. I eat a whole bunch of meat. I eat a whole bunch of dairy. Let me start changing how I consume so that I'm stopping this endless wheel and removing myself so that I remove the blocks and start healing. Not enough people are making the connections of that full circle, and their doctors are not going to connect the dots for them because these doctors are put in a program that does not teach them how to heal you. It teaches you to be it teaches them to keep you as a customer. It teaches you to stay here and be here and to depend on them for the rest of your life. So when you have a surgery, you have to go back and get another one. When you sit here and you take a prescription, you have to keep getting it refilled, get the prescription changed, get put on another one. You're not taught how to heal. Barbara, you're going to have to say that again for me. I don't know what you were trying to say. You're going to have to flush that out for me a little bit more. I see your comments, but I need more context, a little bit more. I know it gives you character limits, but I do respond to comments. I just have to understand. Well, I'm happy you're here, Barbara. I'm so happy that you were here. Yes, if you could flesh that question out a little bit more for me, I will be gladly to answer if it was a question or if it was just a statement. Okay, I get that. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, most doctors are not going to connect the dots between your blood sugar, your hormonal imbalances, and your reproductive disorders. So, in return, you sit here and you think that they're all separate. They're not connected. So you think that there's a separate solution for each issue. There's a separate prescription, a separate medication. And so you sit here and you treat them differently. You do diet culture, etc., etc. And it's not helping you heal. No, you're fine. You're fine. People have typos. It just has a character limit. So I feel like people just can't get their full expression out. So instead of you getting prescribed on a birth control or metformin or Ozempic or a painkiller or even surgeries, sit back and realize, why don't I just start addressing the root cause of the issue so then I can keep this away from me, prevent this from happening to me again, and teach my daughters, my sons, how to support themselves when it comes to their hormonal balance. Because just because we're talking about endometriosis and fibroids and cysts does not mean that men also don't have hormonal imbalances. Men are suffering from hormonal imbalances too. But women are the ones who are underrepresented. And I'm a woman, so I can speak from a woman's perspective to let you know that, like, we're not being taught the truth about our body, let alone how to heal it. how to heal the issues that millions of women are dealing with. And Barbara, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a full circle and cycle of developing all these same things that are all linked together, because all of the things that you just listed are literally linked together. All of them are caused by the same issue of chronic inflammation. And so we have to get away from this inflamed state that our body has been in. And I know this because I'm speaking from experience. My menstrual cycle was painful from the second cycle that I ever had, because the first one was like, okay, my body was cutting on. You know, my body was finally figuring out what was going on. Second one was terrible, all the way up until I went plant-based and started learning how to support my body. All of them were terrible. My teachers used to send me home because I looked like I was about to pass out during the day. I would have to go home some days. Some days I couldn't even make it to school. Some days I couldn't make it to work. Like, literally, when I tell you that, like, the first couple of days, it was like I was out of commission. I couldn't do anything. I mean it. Like, my teacher literally one time, and I remember this like to this day, because I'm sitting there knowing I'm in pain, I'm suffering, I'm leaning over the table, listening to the lesson or whatever. She sits down at her desk. I'm sitting in the back because that's where I sat. So I'm sitting in the back. I'm sitting there leaning against my desk. I'm trying to do my homework. I can't focus. And she just looks over at me, and I like, you know how you can feel somebody staring at you? I can feel her staring at me, but like, I'm dying, literally dying at the table. I can't focus on anything else besides me just trying to breathe and make it through to the next class. And she just looks up and she goes, she didn't even ask if I was okay. She literally just goes, I'm about to go call the office for you and let them know you're going to go down to the front desk and you're going to go home. Like, she didn't ask. she didn't ask a single question. She literally looked at me and said, you need to go home. Like, she was like, there's no question that you don't need to be here. She didn't ask if I was okay. She knew. And I literally said, like, yeah, I was about to pass out. Like, I literally looked at her and said I was about to pass out. I said, so that's the reason why, like, I was focusing in on the desk more than anything. And she wonderful woman. That's why I was like, she literally didn't even ask if I was okay. She literally just looked at me and was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call them and let you know you're going down to the office to go home. And I went home, and when I tell you, like, if I would have tried to go to my next class, I probably would have passed out. I barely made it to the car. Like, I barely made it to the car. If I was sitting, I was okay. But walking and thinking about that, like, I was going to have to walk downstairs. I was going to have to do, you know, because it's a school. I was going to have to do a whole bunch of traveling to get to the next class, carry different things. I literally went to her class. I had no books. Like, her class had no books already, but like, I had no books. I barely was able to carry the empty backpack that I had. And so literally was sitting there suffering for no reason, because I did not understand the fact that you're supposed to eat certain things at a certain time. You're supposed to eat certain things during your cycle, after your cycle, throughout the month. That's why I said we cannot operate like men. We can't do the 24-hour cycle of, okay, I can eat all this stuff, not really pay attention to it, and then go back to doing whatever I want to do tomorrow. Or then maybe I want to do a diet today, and then tomorrow I can do whatever. There's a reason why they lose weight faster than us, and there's a reason why that they can do and go. They're on a 24-hour cycle. We are on a 30-day cycle. You're supposed to eat certain things during certain phases of your cycle. And we're not taught these things. And this is what I teach in my program to break it down, because you have to be eating according to sync to your cycle in order for you to heal your cycle. You have to sit here and support your hormones so that you are completely balanced overall, because you can't tackle one thing and then expect it to not. You can't sit here and tackle one thing and not expect it to sit here and fix everything. It's not possible. And so we're not understanding what is happening inside of our body. But I want to address this because we need to address it. And it hasn't been addressed by our doctors. It's not addressed by our family members, because they weren't taught these things from past generations to generation. And so we have to understand first the role of our blood sugar and our insulin, and why it so it needs to be supported. It used to be so bad for me, Barbara. And so if it's still bad for you, I want you to know that it doesn't have to be. It can be healed. I am now to the point where I might have a minimal pain, and that's usually if I don't eat the correct way that I'm supposed to, but I'm not suffering. Like, I'm uncomfortable. I feel like it's just an uncomfortable time. I don't know if anybody else is really comfortable during their menstrual cycle, but I'm not suffering. I used to suffer. And so we have to first address blood sugar, understanding where that's supposed to be, understanding how it's supposed to be, because blood sugar spikes, It affects the pancreas. It affects our liver. It affects our kidneys. It affects our whole full system, right? And so you have to look at first, what does the pancreas do? The pancreas is where our insulin is being released. This is how we get our energy converted and moving through our body, right? So when you can't release this insulin, it's going to store it as a fat. It's going to store it in your fat cells because it's like, oh, we got all this sugar. What am I supposed to do with it? And it goes, I know. Well, it can go here because this isn't a vital organ. So let me just put it down in your lower belly. Let me put it in your arms. Let me put it in your face, right? And then you sit here and you don't deal with it. So then you develop a fatty liver, a pancreas failure. You sit here and have kidney problems because now your kidney's trying to filter all this blood that is coated with sugar. This is going to cause you to sit here and have weight gain. You're going to have chronic fatigue. You're going to have cravings of sugar and carbs, specifically unhealthy carbs, unhealthy sugars. And then your insulin is going to be so high that it's also going to raise your estrogen. So then we're now in a space of estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance is not good for men or women. When you are estrogen dominant, that means that you're going to start having blocks in your lymphatic system, in your thyroid. And so this is how you develop breast cancer. This is how you develop cancer overall, thyroid cancer, reproductive cancer. It is dangerous for you to have an overload and an excess of estrogen. You are supposed to be balanced with your progesterone and your estrogen as a woman. Your testosterone as well, because your testosterone, if you don't know this, in a woman's body, your testosterone, actually you have a, it's not a gland, it's a cell, I think. It's a cell response that turns testosterone into estrogen. And so when you are affecting your body in a negative way when it comes to your insulin, now that testosterone is no longer able to convert itself into estrogen, because you already have an overload of estrogen. So then now this is how you get into that territory of PCOS, where you have that overload of progesterone, because now the testosterone is high, your progesterone is high, and your estrogen is low. And so then you start to develop this facial hair. You start to have these different issues of now you're sitting here getting on these characteristics of a man. You do not have to suffer from all these hormonal imbalances, hormonal acne. You're sitting here dealing with fibroids and cysts and endometriosis. Like, you have to take control, but you have to learn how to take control. So let's talk about the liver's role in this aspect. So your liver is the detoxification. So this is supposed to detoxify to get your balance back for your hormones. So when you have an excess overload of estrogen, now it's working overtime trying to balance. It's trying to overcompensate. And that overload is toxic. And you're overloaded with toxic sugars on top of the fact that you have this imbalance now. And so then it also stores this into fats. So do you see why people are so in a red zone, a dangerous state when it comes to being overweight and obese? Because people are sitting here like, it's because our portions are too big and we eat so much junk, which we do eat too much junk, and our portions are huge because we don't get any nutrients. But what we're not realizing is the cycle and the process that we're going through in our body, all it can do with these toxins is store it as fat. Because it's like, I can't use it. I can't convert it into anything. I can't just release it through your digestive tract. Majority of people are constipated and they don't even realize they're still overloaded with a bunch of stuff in their digestive. And so then now it's like, well, let me just store it as a fat pocket. I don't know. Then you're having poor liver function. So you're having dysregulation in your liver. And then this is going to cause hormonal imbalance. It's going to cause irregular cycles. It's going to cause infertility. Why keep suffering through these things when you know there's a solution? But people are not putting two and two together of the fact that it affects your pancreas, your liver. And then if you're not realizing this is also going to throw off and affect your gut because of all this overloaded inflammation. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. So let's talk about your gut health and this inflammation. 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So this is how you fight off diseases. This is how you fight illnesses. This is helping your body get away from toxins, right? But most women are dealing with bloating. They're dealing with IBS. They're dealing with the fatigue. They're dealing with chronic inflammation. And they're not realizing it's because their gut balance is off. Your gut pH has to be at a certain level for your digestive tract to be at a healthy state, because it's not sitting here trying to overcompensate and overwork. You're also not sitting there with a full gut because your gut pH is literally absorbing and dissolving everything that it should be. It's also flushing and filtering out so that when it gets to the digestive tract, okay, it's not having a leak or an overload. Because when you have all of these issues with toxins, this is how you develop a leaky gut. This is how you have issues. And then when you have a leaky gut, it leaks into your bloodstream. It leaks into other organs, vital parts, and nothing is being absorbed. But rather now you're adding more toxins into other parts of your body. So you have to get to the full breakdown of what is going on. So then how is this affecting our reproductive health as a woman? Let's talk about the fact that PCOS and endometriosis are driven by high insulin and chronic inflammation. So when you have an overload of insulin going on, and then you have all this inflammation going on from your liver, your kidney, your pancreas, your gut, all being thrown off, you are going to develop one of the two. You're going to develop fibroids, you're going to develop cysts, you're going to develop some kind of issue that is going to affect you more than you just learning how to simply support your body with food. Fibroids come from an excess overload of estrogen and inflammation from sugar, from these toxic processed foods, from you eating all this meat, you eating a whole bunch of dairy because dairy is inflammatory. Thank you for sharing the live. And these toxins build up. So what do you get in return? Low fertility rates, painful menstrual cycles. You have all this mental fog, anxiety, depression, because a lot of people are not realizing your gut and your brain are directly connected. So when your gut balance is off, your brain is going to be off as well. So that means it can't tell your body to do everything it needs to do. Your hormones are going to be off because it's going to be dysregulated from your brain not being regulated. And we wonder why women are suffering from PMS every single month. You're sitting here like, well, I'm just so angry, or oh, I'm craving all this stuff, or I don't know why I'm just so upset today. It's because you have been throwing off your balance all month. So now that it's time for your cycle to start trying to kick on and kick in, and it's giving you signs to let you know, hey, it's coming, you have all this suffering going on. You're having random cramps. You're sitting here dealing with all this anger, and you're like, why am I so angry? Why am I so sad today? Because you're malnourished. You eat a lot, but you're malnourished. You're eating all this stuff to feed those cravings, but you're still malnourished. We overeat as a society, and we sit here and we think that it's okay because we do diets. We eat big portions because we're like, well, it's okay because I'm getting my bang for my buck. But you're not realizing when you eat real whole foods that give you nutrients, you can't eat that much, let alone eat all day like that. So when you sit here and you look back at the habits that you have and how you've been taught and what you've been consuming, you'll realize very quickly we are taught from a very young age how to throw off our balance when it comes to our body. So when you're sitting here and you're like, okay, I hear you, I hear this information, I see the problem, I see the issue, I'm not just going to take it and run with it and just keep this, but rather, how do I start healing? Because I want to heal naturally. I want to support my body. I want to understand what my body needs and how it's supposed to be supported. First thing you have to do is stop consuming the foods that is making you sick. Stop using the products that are making you sick. Start learning how to get away from diet culture, but instead change your lifestyle so that you have healthy habits that keep you on the health journey for the rest of your life. Because the health journey is not something that you're going to be like, oh, I have to think about this every single time I eat. But rather think about the fact that, like, I support my body with food. I eat a rainbow plate, and I know how to do that because I don't have to overcomplicate it. If that seems overcomplicated for you, it's because you don't have the strategy. You have not been taught how to do that. And that's okay. It's okay that you don't know how. But it's not overcomplicated. It's really not. You have to understand that processed foods, dairy, refined sugar, inflammatory oils, meats, all meats, I don't care what you say, all meats, don't argue with me, the science is there, is going to cause an overload of inflammation inside of your body. It's also going to cause insulin resistance to thrive in your space. It's going to cause hormonal imbalances. Endocrine disruptors are in your food as well as your products that you use. So stop using them in your home. Stop throwing off your hormones. Stop buying foods that are making you toxic and ill. Like, that you spend all this money on food. Why do you keep spending your hard-earned money with people who know that they're poisoning you and they're okay with poisoning you? You work hard for your money, yet you want to give it to people who are knowingly poisoning you because it's legally allowed. Legal does not mean that it's right. And we know this. We know what the legal system looks like. We know it happens. We talk about all the time how unfair, unjust. But we don't think about it when it comes to our own person. We hear all these sob stories, especially as women. We take on other people's issues, stories, etc., etc. But we don't even take an initiative when it comes to our own story, our own problems, our own suffering and pain. We put it on the back burner. It's okay to be selfish, because there's a difference between selfish and you being somebody who doesn't care about others. You have to put yourself first, because what does it say? You treat others like you treat yourself. So how can you care for somebody else if you don't treat yourself as highly as you want to treat that other person? That is selfish. The Most High has boundaries. Boundaries are selfish. So make it make sense how we're taught from a very young age that it's wrong to be selfish. And we're taught to be selfish, to be selfless, to the point where we put our own health at risk. Do you see the full agenda against women's health? So we have to start learning how to nourish our body, and to understand how to nourish our body with food, and learn what heals our body. Whole foods, fiber-filled foods, healthy proteins, and healthy fats that come from fruits and vegetables. This helps us keep our blood sugar stable and heal. So you need anti-inflammatory foods that are going to lower your pain and also be able to balance your hormones. We need gut-supporting foods, liver detoxifying foods. We need things that help our bloodstream, our blood system, our blood health in general. Thank you for the follow, because this is going to help you naturally regulate and rebalance your body. This is getting you back to the space where you need to be. So you have to start balancing your hormones naturally, your blood sugar naturally, by eating a balanced meal, fiber, healthy proteins, healthy fats, right? Prioritize healthy anti-inflammatory foods, leafy greens, berries, turmeric. And these are just basics. I'm not giving you the full plethora, but I'm giving you the idea of what you need to incorporate in. Plant-based meals are going to help you heal. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you guys for the follows. I really appreciate it. Avoid terrible, toxic processed sugars and start to learn what natural sugars are and how they support your body. Understand that there are natural sugars that you can still consume, and you still need stabilizers that help stabilize your blood sugar. But understand that the white sugar, the brown sugar, your molasses, all these sugars that they put in your baked goods, your snacks, you love to use in your home, they're keeping you terribly toxic and ill. There's no reason for you to have sugar addiction. There is no reason for you to be addicted to that terrible processed sugar. Yet most of the society is. And they don't realize that they have sugar addiction. And when somebody brings up that they should stop eating sugar, that they have to stop eating sugar, or they think about the fact that they're like, I just couldn't stop eating sugar. I could not eat sugar every single week. Like if I had 1 week off of sugar, I lose my mind. It's because you're addicted. You look like the fiend on the side of the street that's begging for $1. Come to the realization that it does not take long for you to get away from that sugar addiction from processed sugars. You can still enjoy snacks that aren't full of terrible toxic processed sugars. You just have to know what they are. There are plenty of natural sugars: coconut sugar, honey, date syrup, agave. So why are we still using terrible toxic processed sugar that come from chemicals, that come from labs? So before I get off, I would love to take any questions that you guys have, because we don't have to suffer, and we don't have to keep sitting here raising generations of women that suffer through their menstrual cycle because they think this is what we have to do. If you are ready to start taking the next step and start learning how to help your body heal, drop any questions that you have down below. But I want to support anybody that is dealing with insulin resistance, that's dealing with the overload of inflammation, that is struggling overall, because I have a cookbook that is Eating Away Diabetes. It's literally called Eating Away Diabetes. But it's more than just, oh, I'm dealing with diabetes, because it's showing you how to break down inflammation, A1C. It's breaking down diet culture and getting rid of that, breaking down what eating a rainbow plate looks like, supporting your body with food and healing, learning how you do this. It's literally a 100-page book to break down and show you exactly what you need to do, what recipes you need to cook, giving you bonus content to help you out so that you feel completely supported through the journey of learning how to eat away diabetes, because it's possible. You have eaten your way into disease and illnesses. So if you're dealing with endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, you have an overload of inflammation. Eating it away is possible. You just have to know what foods help you be able to do that. You have to understand what foods support the body versus harming and hurting. But you have to learn how to start doing that first, and you have to want that for yourself. If you are ready to take the next step, if you are ready for a change, then you will find it. You will find the solution you were looking for, and not the momentary band-aids that they're giving you with prescriptions and surgeries. It's a full guide into fixing your insulin resistance, understanding and fixing your metabolic dysfunction, and start functioning and balancing again, and naturally healing your body the way that it should be, because you have a block right now. When you are suffering from an illness, from a disease, and you can't get rid of it, you're fighting weight fluctuation, that means you have a block. And not enough people are realizing that there's a block because your body naturally heals itself. There's a reason why when you break a bone that you don't have to do anything extra besides leave it alone for that bone to heal, right? All you have to do is support it with the sling, support it with the crutch, and leave it alone, and it heals itself. But we can't do that because naturally we want to eat, we want to drink, right? So all you need to do is to leave those functions alone. Your liver, your pancreas, your kidneys, stop making them work overtime. Instead, support them with flushing. Support them with everything they need with nutrients, right? Support them with what they need so then they're healing. The same way that bone in your body heals. Your body needs that internally. You see the external healing, but you can't see internal healing. So that's the reason why we have that disconnect. But I'm telling you, as somebody who has helped my body heal, and if you have not seen my transformation video, it is pinned on my TikTok. Go look at it. You can see the difference not only in what my body looks like, but also how my body felt. I mean, you can't see how it feels, but how it felt is inevitable. How it looks speaks for itself. So what questions do you guys have for me before I hop off? What questions do you guys have? Thank you guys for liking up the live. I really appreciate it. Before I get off and enjoy, and if you have any questions that you don't want to ask in front of others, you can DM me. My DMs are always open. Today is the Sabbath. I was thinking what day it was. Today is the Sabbath, or tonight is the Sabbath, but sundown Friday, sundown to sundown Sunday, I am like off of any business attire account. So I'm not ignoring you. I will get back to you on Sunday if you do message me after hours, because this is my work time. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, as always. And if you have something that you want specifically help and support in getting a strategy and learning how to heal, I do have one-on-ones that are linked in my bio. You can book a one-on-one with me. If you decide, you know what, I want to get in the program so I can learn how to completely live a plant-based lifestyle, make non-toxic products, have master classes and workshops and one-on-ones with me throughout those 12 weeks, because during the 12 weeks, we have check-ins and we have one-on-ones throughout then. That price that you get with the one-on-one originally will be knocked off of the program price. You can get everything with Klarna Affirma Afterpay, including that Eating Away Diabetes Cookbook. Look at it. It's linked in my bio. If you have any questions, please DM me. If you have any questions right now, that while you have me, this is your time to drop them down. If not, I am going to hop off. Shalom to you. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. There's no reason to be sitting here on the knowledge that the Most High gave me and blessed me with to be able to help my body heal and not to share with the others. Because that's one thing that I'm very adamant on, is that if people want to learn and they want to listen and they want to, if you have ears to hear, let them hear. You hear me? If you have the ears to hear and you are ready to look for a solution like I did when I called upon the Most High to ask him, how in the world do I help my body heal and how do I start supporting myself? Because this is not it. I shouldn't hate the cycle that my body naturally goes through. I shouldn't hate it every single month. I shouldn't suffer every single month. And I asked him, what do I need to do and how do I do it? And he answered really quickly. You're not doing what you need to do when it comes to fueling your body. And I learned I wasn't, and it was okay. And so after that, when I realized, I started changing. It took a little bit of time because I had to, learn and get the knowledge that I needed. But I learned and I took that information, and now here I am to share it with others so that they can start learning from the free information that I give. But when you want the full tailored strategy, I need to know that you are here and you are dedicated. I don't want somebody to sit here and take this information and be like, okay, if you're going to pay for something, you're going to use it. You know that. We know that. If you buy something, you're going to use it. So if I tell you that, okay, you have to pay X, Y for you to get this book, for you to get this program, you're going to use it. You're going to take it. And this is information that you're going to use for the rest of your life. It's full transformation. It's not something that I'm just going to give you and you're going to be like, oh, okay, and you're just going to go about it. This is a full transformation. And so you have to understand that this is literally going to change your life. It has changed my life. I will never go back to the lifestyle that I was living before. And so that's why I'm so adamant about teaching from a plant-based perspective. This is how you heal. You're eating from the earth. You're gaining what you need from the earth. And this is how you support your body and getting back to where it needs to be and how it should be. But you have to first understand what you've been doing, how you've been doing your body a disservice, and then get to the space of healing. So what questions do you guys have for me? I'll give you about 1 more minute and then I am going to hop off. What questions? What questions? If you don't have any, it's okay. It's okay. What questions do you guys have for me? I'm not seeing any. No questions? Did I answer them all? I was on it today. I feel like I was on it today with the question answering, though. I was like hitting them points. Well, I'm not seeing any questions. So, I guess I'm going to hop off. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing rest of your weekend. Be safe. You're going to be out and about. Take care of your body. Take this information. Share the live with anybody. Share my account with anybody that you know needs support, that needs any help. If they need any rebalancing, if you know anybody that needs a one-on-one, share this with them. I hope you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. And I'm out, y'all. I'll be back either Sunday or Monday. I'm not for sure, but we'll be back one of those days. Peace.